Our guest today on A Bit About Everything is David Preston, the new Head of Franchise Brands at Sigma Healthcare. Welcome, David. Thanks so much for making your time available as we start 2023.
Great joining me. Looking forward to it.
I guess for me, one of the interesting things about your career path is that you started off pretty much as a pharmacist, and I wonder whether is that a family background in pharmacy in East Gippsland, or is it
well, interesting you say that. Historically, my grandfather was a industrial chemist, so it does run through the family, the chemistry gene, as it were, and even back a little bit further, back in our lineage in Italy, we've got pharmacists through the chain there. So, but inadvertently, I fell into the career as well. About 25, 30 years ago.
I suppose what's unusual for me, your appointment last year, I think it was September, October, which was just before your national conferences, was that we don't see on many occasions a retailer come through the ranks in an independent sense and then be appointed into what I might call a head office role or a member support organisation like Sigma.
Yeah, no, it's a different journey. Certainly is. When I joined Sigma 7 years ago, it was really focusing on dispensary operations, a lot of the clinical aspects and things along those lines. But as a pharmacy owner for many years, and basically as a pharmacy retailer in a sense, you get the width and breadth and understanding of all aspects of the business. And, I think that put me in good stead to understand, even when I moved into sort of the corporate space, it gave me a very good understanding of, what needs to be done to run a successful pharmacy. And I think, again, it gives you a unique insight into all the aspects of, the sort of shared services that help run, the pharmacy operations from a franchise perspective.
I'm sure from a member perspective, your appointment would have been greeted very strongly by some of the members who probably, Sigma's had some challenges over the last 10 years. It's sort of, if I look back, it's sort of moved from a distribution organisation to a far more customer-focused organisation. Is that, as a customer, and I suppose someone who probably wanted to influence the
I think again, it's a double-edged sword though, because you do have you've got intimate knowledge of being a franchise partner yourself. You have a very deep understanding of what the franchise relationship looks like from both angles. I think that's one of the benefits, but it also does, from my perspective, being a pharmacist. It's quite for me, it's quite important for myself professionally to be leading such a fantastic heritage brand as Amcal. It's been around for over 85 years, so it actually, professionally, it's actually, it's quite an honour to actually get the opportunity, and again, but that in itself, puts a bit of pressure on you that. You've got to deliver the goods as well. So it's unique. I suppose you could see it as a unique appointment, but also in some ways it sort of makes a lot of sense because you get both sides of the story in a sense, and I get a good understanding of that.
I suppose one of the things for me, if I look at the pharmacy industry, one of the challenges is that you've got what I call a very large category killer type retailer in Chem Warehouse, and we've seen Priceline taken over by Wesfarmers over the last 12 months.
Yes.
How do you see the structure of the industry going forward? Because it seems that it's still trying to find its way, and I guess we'll talk a bit about COVID, but certainly from a retailing perspective, and I suppose being a services organisation in a community sense, the whole look of pharmacy seems to be changing pretty dramatically.
Look, it is changing, but it's also I think the words around consolidation. To be perfectly honest, and that's what we're seeing. There's a lot of consolidation, and we ourselves are going through a consolidation phase at Sigma Healthcare with our retail brands. So you are seeing that in the industry consolidation. You're seeing some strong brands gaining strong market presence, and I think that'll continue. And I think historically, when you look at pharmacy and you look how we've come from an industry that had many players in it, and I think we'll find over time that consolidation will accelerate, whereby I think the larger brands will continue to get larger and get a lot of scale, and certainly increasing their national footprint. And I think we'll find, even though there is still a really strong independent offer and presence in the industry, I think over time, that you'll see a lot more pharmacies transitioning to the branded pharmacy network, just out of a matter of necessity to be able to compete, because to compete in it's a professional environment, but it's a retail environment, and to combine the both of those and have that back office support, I think a lot of pharmacists are seeing that for them to compete and not only just survive but thrive, having the support of a national brand behind them, I think will become very important moving forward, especially.
We go back the last 2 years, we've seen COVID really change the face of retailing.
Yes.
Change the way we transact, how many transactions are done digitally, and so it goes on. But it seems with the vaccination rollout, the role that pharmacists played was vital.
Yes.
And there is a trust factor about pharmacies that's always been there. Do you think it's been enhanced in the last 2 years because of what's gone on? And whereas the doctors have possibly suffered a little?
Well, undoubtedly, I think it is. I mean, pharmacy's accessible. Day to day, they're very accessible. And, through COVID, we were only one of the few retailers that was able to remain open largely. But due to our accessibility and, we had already moved through a phase of doing flu vaccinations, and so it was natural that when the opportunity came up around COVID vaccinations as well, that we were very well positioned to cater for that need in the community. And I think it obviously transitioned quite very quickly. But our accessibility, our opening hours, our already sort of established initiatives around flu vaccination put us in good stead to be prepared. And so, coupled with ensuring we're always open as well, and that I think what we found in pharmacy is that over these last couple of years with COVID, what an integral part we play in that primary healthcare network, and in generally that sort of community health hub. And I think we really shone through, and I think we're coming out the other side now. And I think even governments are understanding that there's probably a more significant role that pharmacy and pharmacists can play, and that maybe historically we've been underutilised. And I think COVID shone a light on what the full scope of practice for a pharmacist could and should be. And so I think it's a really exciting time. I think looking forward, it's a very exciting time for the industry as well, because I think there's further opportunity for us to continue in that expansion of the scope of practice.
If I'm a pharmacist now, unaligned, not that there are many, what are the things that your two major brands stand for? You've also got PharmaSave, I think, as well as part of your statement.
Yeah, so look at two.
Why would I join Amcal?
Yeah, that's right, and
over other groups. What is it? Yeah,
that's right, and the other brand is Discount Drugstore.
Discount Drugstore, which is
our value offer basically. But again, so with Amcal, you've got a fantastic heritage brand. It's been around for over 85 years. Very strong brand association with trust and advice and service provision. But coupled with that, it's got a very strong foundation. Not only around trusted healthcare. We obviously, as I said, have a very strong brand association with that. But also around sort of differentiated product offering. The Amcal brand itself has a very strong Amcal private label. Probably the strongest in the industry. So that sort of product differentiation makes a significant difference. And also just the over the course of time, building up what that customer value proposition is. In things like convenience, accessibility, the loyalty program, and then a very strong health services provision. And I think that is very attractive for pharmacists. The Amcal brand competes very well in the retail space as well. And I think so. It can give a very strong and broad offer. And with a real focus on that trusted healthcare, and I think that that resonates very strongly in a community setting. When we look at, say, a discount drugstore, again, it's a very well-established brand. More so, through the states like Queensland and New South Wales. But that has a very strong value proposition. A very strong retail offer, very expanded range within those stores, and so you get a very a good diversified portfolio of product, and also it's a different demographic. And again, when you're assessing which brand or where you're going to align with a brand, you do need to consider. The environment and the market that you're actually in. What is your local market, your local demographic, and where are the opportunities for you to provide a differentiated offer in that space that you can you're not going to get out-competed with. And I think that's part of the decision making. We work with franchise partners who are looking to make these decisions.
I think I'm right in saying it's about 5,600 pharmacies.
Yeah, very good.
Around that level. I looked it up before we got together.
Yes. Yep.
It just seems to me with a number of brands there's going to have to be a significant shakeout. But pharmacists have had if I said a history of being able to pick what suited their business, they're going to have to really make some fairly significant decisions, I would think, in the next 3 to 5 years as to how they see it. Because
that's right. And again, what I sort of touched on at the start is around, how the industry is sort of shaping as it's moving forward, and you're getting some extremely strong, well-organised brands and retailers, and getting significant, national footprints.
Yeah.
And that's going to be very important as a pharmacy owner. You have to consider that and consider how you're going to compete. And again, a lot of pharmacists. They go through that process of decision making, but is it going to be accelerated? Maybe. I see that consolidation piece only increasing.
With Woolworths and Coles, they've sort of made major inroads into the market anyway with the sort of product range that they've sold that sort of pharmacies have sold. Do you see them making that big leap? Will they be permitted, do you think, over the next few years to make a bigger investment in pharmacy? Like there's been lots of discussions about warehouse in the press. Will they sell
that's right. And
the Gantz family? Will they?
That's right. And we've been dealing with this for ever and a day. And look, I think there's very strong political support at the moment for the current pharmacy model, to be perfectly honest.
Yep.
It's not only just, it's just not about retailing or, money, dollars and cents. I think they see, and again, touching on what we've experienced in the last couple of years through COVID, I think we see the integral nature that pharmacy plays, not only in the say the retail setting in a lot of towns, and especially regional towns, but also in the healthcare network. And I think the government recognises that that's very important to ensure the viability of pharmacy moving forward, and that ability for pharmacy to play that role, that role in the community in those several aspects that I've just spoken about, I think that the government see it as an important linchpin in the healthcare and also just the community.
Probably more
network.
critical now than ever.
That's right. So
you couldn't see them being too.
That's right. But again, governments change and situations change, and as we've seen, environments change, and so where that leads to. But I'd say at this stage, on balance, you would think, and from what you see and hear from the government, I think they're seeing. There's a lot of the benefits certainly outweigh. So I suppose the risks, I suppose, of maintaining the model as it is at the moment, and I think it's serving the community very well, and it's serving the government well.
Well, David, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. It's been terrific talking to you, and I appreciate the frank way that you've answered my questions, and I'm sure our viewers will get a lot out of today's presentation. Thanks so much.
Great. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.